Hey, Match.
Oh, hello, Michael. How are you?
Good to see you, my friend. Very good. You.
So good to see you, buddy.
So, big news in the DSG family. You know, we're a family company, and we are a family one bigger today. Paige, who normally joins me on these partner series intros, had a little daughter. So
let's go.
We're welcoming Molly Jean to the world and the DSG family. Very excited.
Love it. I love that.
For those of you guys out there that have seen the partner series, know Paige, know the faces. Match is our supervising technical producer. He is a great friend, a great creative mind. We're absolutely thrilled to be working with him and are only looking forward to good things. So,
thanks.
Match, I got a couple questions for you. And this is usually how this format goes. They're going to be kind of wacky, so I don't want to confuse you.
No, that's chill. That's chill.
Let's just go on this journey with me, all right? Just do it.
I will.
And this will be right up your alley because you just started the business yourself, right? If you were going to start a wacky business, what would that business be?
Is it within a specific thing? Does it need to be a product? It could be anything.
It could be anything. It's just a business. It's your business. It's wacky, but it has to be wacky. That's the only caveat here.
So I think my wacky business is I would create a series of artificial intelligence soccer coaches. It's kind of wacky, but actually potentially doable, where you could have a private coach, right?
I dig it. Okay, this is a good follow-up question because you're touching on something. AI soccer coach, right? And that is your business. And where would that business be physically? Where would you get that business? Where would you have the most success if you were launching this business?
What's going to happen is there'll be opportunities for hyper local advertising. I wish I knew a company that did that stuff because they're really going to have to help me. Here's what
I know somebody. Yeah.
I'm imagining a sort of subscription service. I would think it would be just a regional thing. It would start as just a community thing. You know, we'd rent out some public soccer field or something.
Okay.
And there'd be actual training going on. But then for the kids that are like over on the virtual field where there's just artificial intelligence soccer coaches, it would look like the coach, except it would be AI generated. And you had cameras set up. You could even set up motion tracking so it could tell if someone scored or not. And then the AI could be like, good job.
AI encouragement.
Yeah.
I could use that every day. It's like, great job. You got out of bed.
Yeah, seriously.
Walked down the hall and took the garbage out last night. You were so awesome.
And it just gives you a little pat on the back.
That's right. Right. This is the final question, and you're going to kind of see where I'm going with this. But who would you get if you had to have somebody? Because you're going to need help, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going to do this by yourself. You have this great idea, which is a fantastic idea. But who are you going to get to help you? If there's one person in the world, who is that going to be?
I think if I had one person helping me with that, it would need to be someone who thinks about it as a franchise. It would need to be people. Let me think of something. I'm trying to think of sports venues, or, you know what I would do, dude? I would talk to like the CEO of AMC Bowling.
Okay. AMC
is the movie theater.
Yep.
Although I could talk to both of them. And the reason I say that is like they were able to take a sport and keep it chill, and everyone can engage in it on multiple levels of interest and intensity. But then they have the physical spaces. You need the physical space for that bowling stuff. So the reason we would have physical spaces is to provide the gear, right? The cones and the field. And then you could be like bowling, like you're on field 1 or you're on field 2 and you have this many hours with the AI coach. That actually might be the way to do it, man.
That's a really good answer. And that's outside of the box. I like that. I like that. In fact, we're going to put a hashtag on this thing, AMF, and see what happens.
Yeah, dude.
I don't think they're into AI yet. So
you might be right.
Let's see where it goes. I mean, they're definitely not into soccer. So,
oh man, can you imagine a AI bowling coach there? Like they've got the screens and stuff. Why couldn't they do that?
Well, they give you those awesome, graphics of pins exploding.
Strike.
Like,
But how sick would it be if you like just flipped on the AI coach? Like you could easily track all of like the movement of the ball and stuff. Oh man.
Yeah, you and I both bowling. We've bowled together and it's serious,
You have a bowling ball, right? You have your own bowling ball.
Yeah. Is it an AMF ball? No. Who?
You actually got it like sized and fitted to your.
It is an AMF ball. It's called the Anaconda. You got a refurbed ball. My birthday was $99, and I would recommend it to anybody. So whoever was the designer of the Anaconda model AMF bowling ball, props. I actually don't know where it is right now. It might be in my mom's house, but I got to figure that out.
You got a little child running around. You can't be bowling whenever you want anymore.
I know. It's just these are sacrifices you make. The reason I ask all of this, because you were able to kind of get into the world of DSG's relationship with Syndicate Marketing and Chris David, the owner and chief ideas guy. And Chris is an amazing guy. I know you really dug into the interview that Paige did, and I'd like to get to that in a second. But Chris, just having talked to him, he's always got an idea. He's always got an idea for a new business, and he's always acting on that. I've always admired that about Chris. He's going to say, I want to do this. I want to buy a rehab property and then make an Airbnb. He just figures out how to squeeze it into his busy day, all the other things he does and all the clients he talks to. And he's been really smart about getting the right people to help him along. That's a goal of his. And I've always admired that. He's understanding his limitation. He's understanding where he's going to go with it. And I know, Batch, you had just a really interesting reaction to that as somebody who's starting a business, somebody who is looking at just getting the incredible amount of advice that's out there. And you really took a lot away from that. So,
something that I really appreciated about the interview with Chris was that he was really talking about, but then molding the world around you, your interests and your energy, and trying to create a situation where he's excited to be engaged with all these projects. And that for me has been awesome, and something that I've come back to a lot is early days, like build the foundation with what you want this company to be in the future. Right. And so I was really kind of struck by the view of the whole thing, not only with his own approach to stuff, but then it was clear he's human centered when it comes to coming up with solutions for his clients and treating them like not just some number or like company name somewhere. He actually clearly thinks of people and wants to guide them through that process. All of that was massively helpful for me to take away and apply to my own stuff.
It's a really great series of points they made there. And one thing I just want to add before we jump into the interview, because you can hear him talk about it himself, but he is a true local marketer, I think, in the sense that he picked a spot he was going to move, somewhere he was very passionate about, somewhere that was going to become his home. And he wanted to make, as you said, mold that business around his community and support the other entrepreneurs, the other people who are in his community. And it's a true passion. It comes through in everything he does. So, in that Delaware Beaches region, that's his home. That's where he has his business. That's where he wants to build his business. And it really shows. It comes through in all the work he does and the passion he brings to it. So,
yeah, I think that was something that stood out to me. Having a home base where the area that you're targeting and the people that you're working with, so you become part of the community. That was really cool. The benefit of what I do is that I can do it virtually anywhere. So I have clients in England and Philadelphia and Vancouver, so they're everywhere, and that's awesome. But the other thing that's tricky about that is shifting the way you're thinking about day-to-day experience in those places, right? So whether it's cost of living or just general cultural activities that go on in those areas, you have to keep switching and being aware of that kind of stuff. Whereas when you're able to focus on a local area, even if it's multiple things, to actually recognize that each one of those local communities has its own energy and its own traditions, that plays into everything. And obviously I'm preaching to the choir here with you guys, but what I've found is that even though my approach is different than what Syndicate's doing, I was able to take a little bit of that and apply it to each one of my clients, no matter where they are. And that's actually been a help kind of exercise for me. So I absolutely love his approach to say, hey, I know this place. I want to support this place. And I think I have a skill set that can enhance a lot of these local businesses. And it's so cool to see and help in local business.
Yeah, great advice there, Matt. I totally agree with you. It's what we try to do as local marketers is really dig in, see what that part of the community is like and how we can actually address the needs of the client and the needs of the customer. Again, Mitch, thank you for doing this with us and all the work you've been doing. It is really great to work with you, and we look forward to many more of these. And Hopefully we can get a panel together, I think, of all the people. And
Dude, that'd be great.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. Just throw out some fun questions to everybody. So
yes, that'd be super fun.
Yeah, that'd be great. We can do it either virtual or do it in person with some drinks. That'd be fun too. So
Nice.
well, let's go to Chris and Syndicate Marketing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mitch.
Today, I have with me Chris David from Syndicate, which is a full-service marketing agency based out of coastal Delaware.
Yeah.
But Chris has been working with DSG for, oh my gosh, over 4 years, I think now, Chris. Can you believe that?
I can't. When you say it out loud, I feel like this whole journey is just beginning, but 4 years. Yeah.
I know. And I feel like 4 years ago, I would describe DSG as a completely different company than describing it now. And I think you and Syndicate have absolutely been paramount in our growth and giving us a leg up on expertise when we talk to our clients. But I don't want our audience to take my word for it. I'd love for them to hear from you. If you don't mind talking about Syndicate and maybe a little bit of your background. I do have some questions, spoiler alert, about, owning your own agency and how you feel about that. Because knowing that our backgrounds are coming from quite larger agencies.
Yeah.
Now we're kind of paralleling our journeys. So yeah, the floor is, tell us all about Syndicate, Chris.
Oh, I'd be delighted to. So, long story short, I did that whole thing where you become a marketing manager and you take whatever job you can to get your foot in the door when you're in the height of the financial decline of America, right after the bubble had burst. And then we recover, and I took a job with a marketing agency, and my degree was in graphic design. And I said, when I graduated, I'm like, I am never getting into building websites or anything technical like that. That's way over my head. I just want to do the old school. I'm going to make pretty advertisements and come up with cool campaigns. But
which you still do, by the way, which you still do. There's a lot of design in your work.
It's not like I'm trying to sell the design work, but that's a pretty enjoyable part of my day when I get an opportunity to make a graphic and just get back in my roots. It's been a dream of mine to start my own business, and I have tried to start so many wacky businesses along the way.
I think that's really interesting. You just had this knack of opening up or trying to open up new businesses, and did you feel like you kept going back to the graphic design and the agency and marketing stuff? Did that just kind of keep bringing you back, or was this sort of I'm trying to move away from that? So tell me a little bit about how maybe Syndicate came about as that from an entrepreneurial sense.
Working for this agency, I worked for a couple in Pennsylvania, and living in Delaware, I got kind of tired of commuting every other week, or, we're having a team meeting. Everybody's going to pop in for an hour and do lunch and have this meeting.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, great. There's 5 hours on the road on a good day. And I always had a dream for I want to build my own thing down here in my backyard. I want to work with local businesses. I want to network around here. I want to go to the mixers on a Friday night at the, Starboard downtown Dewey. So I just kind of went out there and, I made a website on my own because, that's what I do. I build a couple different departments for website development, SEO, and then sales.
So you went from the design stuff, which I think is an absolute cornerstone of your work. The things that you make are beautiful. The content that you make are beautiful. And you have this entrepreneurial spirit. When you work with our clients, you have that energy, which is, a very special thing about working with Syndicate. So you have that path, you have the graphic design path, and then you have this experience working in large agency. Did you have that aha moment of okay, I want to start my own business and I have experience doing this. So why not kind of marry the two?
I really just want to work with the people I want to work with. I know where my strengths lie. I know where we've had successes in the past. This business isn't the taking a product to market. It's kind of just making a job for yourself. And it's nice because you can pick who you want to work with. You can pick your hours. Of course, you don't really get a lot of PTO. I don't know if I've taken a sick day in a couple years.
I love this quote of I really opened up my business because I want to work with who I want to work with. I think that's really beautiful. And I think that pertains to our relationship too. You know, when you work for kind of a small, more creative agency like DSG or with Syndicate, you build partnerships within the space. So right now we have a multitude of partnerships, which we're showcasing in the Spotlight series,
Mhm.
that help the end client. So our partnership helps that end client and gives us more of a full suite of offerings. So with us and our partnership with DSG, like we focus on DBI or digital business information. We focus on hyper local paid ads or paid advertising. We do PPC, we do call tracking. But one big element that was a gap for us 4 years ago was search engine optimization. I remember speaking with you for the first time, Chris, and saying, like, we have this really big client. They're awesome. Like, I think that we can expand our offering by working together. And I remember that first time you were on the call and explaining to the client, because there's that education part too, because I think SEO
Yeah.
can be very nebulous.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting with you and you just blew the client away with like, even just like the basics of your knowledge. I think that to me was like, oh, you and I have made the right choice of a DSG syndicate partnership. And you've also helped us elevate the expertise on our team throughout the years. Ultimately, like, that's why you open a small agency. Like, not only are you working with clients you want to work with, but you're also working with people and other either technology partnerships or other agency partnerships of like who is in your trust. But I also think it's really important to note how like our partnership, I think, elevates our suite of services for our clients. Thank you for your amazing expertise in that area. For Syndicate specifically, like you offer so much to our table.
You know, one thing that I really try to pride myself on is trying to take these really confusing topics because it's so involved. But like, I'm a firm believer that you can distill this down and make it palpable, easy to digest for anybody. Even, you know, we work with a lot of folks who are kind of late in their career and they did not grow up with the internet like we did.
Mhm.
And they deserve to understand why they're paying you money. So I would encourage anybody out there, if on a monthly basis you're like, I pay X amount of dollars and I'll be honest, I'm not sure what I get, but they're like monitoring and taking care of it. So I am happy. You know, I would, there's nothing wrong with asking questions and trying to get things broken down. People should, if they're your professional SEO person, they should be able to explain it in a means by which you can understand. So that's my 2 cents.
No, I really like your 2 cents, Chris. I think that it's really important. I think transparency is so important, like through reporting, through kind of explaining what it is exactly that you're doing. Let us take care of that marketing for you. Let us gain your trust through kind of that edge of marketing type approach. I've had a number of clients that don't know what SEO is at all. They don't know what the difference between like a paid ad on the Google's results page versus an organic result. But like, here's the thing, I wouldn't be able to do a root canal. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be able to go and like service any plumbing at home. I don't know. I really like talking to the client about those things. But to your point, the transparency is key. And I think you and Syndicate do a good job of like, from the onset of that audit of explaining like, okay, this is what we're looking at. This is what's important. And these are the types of results that we think we're going to get to. But Chris, if you could kind of explain like the way you talk about SEO with your clients and maybe talk about how you think that SEO may change in the next year. I always think the search engine optimization strategies always change because the landscape is always changing, right?
Yeah. Um, I always wanted to do a segment where I review proposals for SEO and scopes, and then I break them down about, okay, here's what you're really paying for. Because 99% of the time, it's like, we're going to do some on-site cleanup, and you're going to pay us monthly for that. We're going to work one time and then just send it.
Yeah.
So how I think about SEO, so it's different per industry. I mean, search engine optimization, like how is your business going to make money from getting found in Google? You know, it really depends on the industry and those keywords. I mean, if you're a local business, well, that's a whole different algorithm than e-commerce, right? So local, which DSG excels at phenomenally well, a lot of that has to do with your local directories and your local listings, and you could speak at lengths to that. But you've got a really great system to meet a lot of the requirements that Google has to display your business. There's a lot of different types of results. Okay, are you selling a product that you want to get found in Google Shopping? Are you a local business, brick and mortar? Maybe you're a restaurant. You want to get found in Google Maps, which is also important when you ask Alexa and Google, hey, find a restaurant that's close by. Or maybe you're a news publication and you make revenue from getting your blogs and articles and whatnot in that Google News section. So these are all these separate areas in Google that directly influence different types of businesses. So number one, I want to look at what are the opportunities, which ways like would you be able to acquire new business from Google? And then I'm like, all right, well, what would they be searching for in order to come to your website and make a transaction? Okay, so right there, what would they be searching for? That's my core target keyword. All right, I'm going to then kind of break that out and have a bunch of queries. Like, this is my hypothesis. Here's what I think people will search for to land on your site and give you money. Okay, let's go and do the woo optimization on your site. Let's build content, pages, blogs, maybe videos, whatever. Let's build those so that they answer the questions and they speak directly to the things people are searching for who want to give you money. And then we send it out into the world, we publish it, and we come back and we test. Okay, any part of the scientific method or process is hypothesis and then execution and then measurement. All right, did it do what we thought it was going to do? This one page out of the 20 that we publish is doing very well. Okay, great. How do we replicate that for these other keywords? Or how do we get the most out of that one article as possible? So forget how Google's algorithm is changing, get it out of your head, and just focus on providing your readers and your personas, your target audience, giving them the best information possible, whether that's a resource via a video or a PDF or whatever. Just focus on giving them good information that's going to help them make a better qualified decision as to whether or not they should give you their money or not. That's what it boils down to. I mean, everybody says like, oh, just focus on the content, but it's true.
Yeah.
This isn't a novel idea.
I love that, Chris. That's why they pay you the big bucks. I
don't know where those big bucks are going, but
well, I think that's really great advice. If you're true to your brand and you have the resources, no matter if you're like a big national brand or if you're a local business, it's important if you do. I mean, with any business, I would say you absolutely need to have some sort of engagement online, whether that be through video production like DSG is doing here with our Spotlight series. Or if you have a blog and you continue to write a blog and it has to do specifically with your business. Like if I'm a restaurant, I'm not going to write a blog about plumbing, right? So it's got to be relevant.
Right.
And I love that, and I've heard, especially, getting into this space, there are a lot of agencies and a lot of businesses that are trying to game the algorithm part of Google. And I love that it's sort of like, don't worry about the algorithm. Like, yeah, there are probably some things that are just like, okay, check mark, like things. But really what it comes down to is just making sure that you write about yourself and write about or do the content or create content that's true to your brand. I really, really like that recommendation. And targeting and the new privacy laws that are coming down the pike, who knows what the landscape's going to look like. But search engine optimization and that content that you're putting out there about your brand is going to be even more important in the coming years. Stuff. They're really going to be looking for that trust in the content.
Everybody always talks about like the different channels, and it's like, oh, you got SEO over here, and then you got ads over here, and you got social media over here. But in reality, it all does come down to that content and however you're syndicating that out there. And I think they really go hand in hand, whether you're, let's say you come up with a video, right? It's a resource, and you obviously want that to get found in Google without having to pay for those clicks. But there's nothing saying that you shouldn't also try to drive more clicks to that, whether it's display advertising in Google ad networks or social media advertising. Like, it all goes hand in hand. Creating the content is the hard part. Creating the good content is the hard part. And then syndicating it, not necessarily easy, but easier. Like, it all goes hand in hand. So if your SEO company isn't generating any content for you, I'd be curious what they're doing. Certainly there's other things that could be done, but yeah, it all comes down to that.
So speaking of kind of putting all the channels together, I did want to talk about how you felt about DSG's partnership.
Sure. Certainly with the local listings sphere of things, there's a lot of different local listing solutions that are out there, and I've looked into them. I'll just say that DSG, I'm extremely impressed with the flexibility that you offer, how proficient you are with, at least when we work together on the paid media side and the local listing side of things. And with local listings, you really are offering the Cadillac solution for companies out there. It's like hands down the best. There's a lot of them out there, and I've looked at them, and there's a lot of pitfalls. Me and my mission working with local businesses, you have to have a good local listing solution because that's a huge part of the algorithm. You've really helped me fulfill those contracts extremely well. I know a lot about a lot of different things, but I can't be in the thick of the local listings. I can't be Googling things and trying to figure it all out on my own. I just don't have time for that. So as a resource, being able to hit somebody up on the team, which you've got a large, fantastic team.
Thanks, Chris.
And, there's a lot of other ways that you guys have helped me out. I'm happy to kind of dive more into them, but that's the thing that comes top of mind.
I appreciate that, Chris, so much, because that's, as you know, is part of our niche business. And to your point, let us do that check mark on the Google algorithm requirements, right? Making sure that the local listings are taken care of so you can concentrate on the content, so you can concentrate on building the brand for your client. And I'm so glad that that's something that you found valuable, and I know is a big part of our partnership.
You know what I also find really valuable is that our business models are actually very similar. And at some point, I forget when it was exactly, but there was an aha moment. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to build my agency just like Paige is building hers, like just like DSG. Like,
Wow.
I love the model. There's a lot of like the old school concept of, oh, it all has to be in-house under one roof because somehow subcontracting is evil. But like, you guys have a lot of strategic partners that you work with and that my business and my accounts work with. The fact that I don't have to be making those connections with people to try to find out what solutions are modern and the best and do all my due diligence, I can just lean on your team and be like, all right. And DSG comes in with all of their solutions. So there's really no other agency in lower Delaware that offers anywhere near as much as Syndicate. I've got a huge team with DSG. It's really given us an edge. So I wouldn't be in business without you, Paige. Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate you too, Chris. I think from my perspective, and I feel like you would feel the same way after experiencing a similar model, I want to do core services well, almost to the level of perfection for my client. And then I want to have partners that I absolutely trust, that are well vetted, like Syndicate, that I know if I introduce them to the client, either a direct relationship, or at least say this is a person that's part of our team, that I know that the work's going to get done and the work's going to get done well. So the client feels supported and that they have the right players for their marketing campaigns.
Yeah.
So I think you put it beautifully. So I'm gonna just change gears a little bit. I wanted to ask you a couple of personal questions. So we bragged about Delaware, which I don't know if we should talk it up too much because we don't want people moving there.
Too late, man. Too late.
But you've been there for a long time, and I know, like, I've seen your Instagram presence and how many awesome adventures you go on with your family just in town. But could you tell us some of your favorite haunts in Delaware, or some of your favorite things to do?
Oh man, of course. I also run the Instagram and website Delaware Beaches Online. So if you get a minute, check it out. We're implementing our own local directory and aggregating all the best events in the area. All right, so what do I like to do? I got a Toyota 4Runner to drive on the beach because that's big down here. So we love doing that. We take the family out and we bring the cooler. We go fishing on the beach. We got the stand-up paddleboard. We like going boating. We don't own a boat. We're just part of this like membership. So we check the boats out and we drive around. What's big around here is something called the sandbar. The sandbar is where everybody parks their boats up. Kids are running around out in the sandbar and catching clams and stuff. And then there's like a boat that'll come around and sell like hot dogs and ice cream, which is pretty cool. It's like an ice cream truck, but on a boat.
Wow.
It's
That
cool.
sounds so
Yeah.
fun.
We like the little islands. It's neat. Yeah.
One more lightning question. What is the one thing you like to do? And I say, like, I position this like in the morning, but it can be any time throughout the day. But what is the one thing that you like to do during the day that sets you up for success?
Besides coffee.
Coffee? You could just say coffee. Coffee is very important.
The one thing that I do, and we talked about this earlier, but I table emails. I don't think it makes me successful, but trying to spend the least amount of time possible in emails. But the one thing that I find really sets me up for success is living and dying by the calendar and trying to have accountability to myself and my accounts. So I get an email and it's like, oh, there's a task that's involved in that email. Instead of trying to go and do it right then and there and getting off, topic, what I'll do is I'll schedule like an hour or 2 hours in my calendar. And then that way I know that that'll get done. And I look at my calendar at the end of the day and I'm like, oh, I didn't get to X, Y, or Z. I'll leave Fridays open as a bumper day. And then I'll just move that over to Friday and prioritize my day based on, the importance. Also, another thing is setting like really attainable goals. I find that the easiest way to completely stress yourself out is by making like an absurd task list for the day. And you're like, at the end of the day, you may have accomplished half of it. It might be great, but you're stressed out and scatterbrained because you're like, I didn't get half of my work done. But checking those things off, like client work, whatever, making that video, whatever, feels good, feels productive, and because it is. So, I think setting attainable goals is important for everybody. I mean, it's not really my secret, but
to tell you the truth, that nuance though, of like, instead of saying, so for example, I have a big client deliverable pitch and I have that listed out, right? So instead of listing that big, huge thing out, maybe it's more of like, meet with the team and come up with an outline today.
Right.
So I think you put it in perspective that attainable goals is a lot easier than just thinking like, I'm going to lose 100 pounds by the end of the week. Not possible. But hey, you can say, I'm going to go for a walk for 10 minutes this morning and feel good.
Give yourself a treat. I don't want to sit at my desk and work for hours and hours on end and then just be chained here and feel like I'm, chained to my desk. So it can be hard to get started work in the morning. You're like, I got the whole day to finish my task list. It's very attainable,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
like just say, I'm going to I'm going to get started working on my task list. And even if it's only like 15 minutes, like it's just important to get started. And I'll find like, oh, it's only 15 minutes. And meanwhile, like you get into it and you work a few hours and then go for that walk, go to the gym, go for a jog around the neighborhood, go walk the dog, whatever. Like you earned it. That's at least how
Yeah.
I work.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I
I
don't know.
think it's
My little
an
tricks.
insider view on your style is great. I mean, I'm always very curious about how people manage their day and their to-do lists. And something you did mention, which was not checking your email right away in the morning to like
Yeah.
kind of have that view of what you're going to get done and not be too distracted about the messages coming in. And that to me is that I learned like when you said that, I was like, oh, maybe I should try that because I'm like chained to my email all day.
I think you can check it in the morning. I think we all do this where like we'll check it late at night, we'll check it kind of in the morning and do that scroll just to make sure there's nothing
Yeah.
urgent. And
Yeah.
that there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it's like I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to check my email for like an hour or two in the morning.
Yes, no, absolutely. That's really important. But I do think like all styles, like you said, are very different. There might be someone that's like, I start my day by checking the email and like crossing things off and
Sure.
then I give my break or whatever. And speaking of breaks, I think now that there's more of a remote workforce after COVID and the pandemic, it gives people a little bit more of that breath of that like treat if that you called
Yeah.
it a treat of going for a walk or like
Watering
it's
the plants. That's my big
watering the
one.
plants
Oh,
in your jungle.
but like in the spring, especially, uh, we're in a creative business. There's like creative processing that needs to happen. It's all the work doesn't just get done by staring at your screen. Like you need to get a change of scenery. And that's why we have great ideas right before bed and when you're taking a shower. So like you're working through a tough problem instead of just trying so hard to get it done and forcing it. Take a break, go outside, water the plants, and then think about like how you can creatively work through that. So
Mhm.
yeah, I've been working from
Mhm.
home since 2014. So I've
Yeah.
learned to live with myself. Trying to at
Well,
least.
yes. Well, there's that whole like kind of subconscious gaining knowledge while you do those kind of menial tasks and taking a breath.
One more.
What?
I got one more before we
Oh,
break.
you got one more.
And this
Okay.
one's just like general mental health because working from home and especially like
Mhm.
if you don't have meetings or talk to anybody, like there's a lot of self speak that goes on and you're like, oh, I got this really hard project or hard client, and if you talk negatively about that project, like I'm never going to get this done or whatever it is, like just be cognizant about how you're speaking about that, and I guarantee you that if you are self aware of your self speak and the way that you think and talk to yourself and whatever about your projects, if you start just switching that up and trying to be more positive, it'll make a big difference. I think you'd be surprised. At least I am for myself.
I think these are all awesome. These are all awesome ideas and recommendations, Chris. I think the way that you formulate the plans or tasks in your head to kind of think about this as a more of a glass half full opportunity, it'll make tackling it a lot easier, to your point. Chris, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. We'll have your contact information at the end of this video. And yeah, have a great, awesome day. We appreciate all the amazing advice on search engine optimization to how you can work more efficiently. And maybe in part 2, you can talk to us about how you grow those beautiful plants behind you.
Well, yeah, just want to say thank you for having me, and I look forward to reviewing the SEO metrics once it's published.